All right, today we're going to look at Chapter 6 in Solving the Mystery of Reading, so be sure you have your book and your study guide. This chapter focuses on your dictionary. And remember I had said that you absolutely must have a dictionary? You absolutely must have a dictionary. This chapter talks about all the different information and clues that you're going to use to getting to know your dictionary, because we're going to use it quite a bit. The first thing is that I want you to do is write your name in it. You're going to use it through your whole college and probably even beyond. This is a nice new one. Mine that I have at home is all battered, so that means it's well used and well loved. These smaller dictionaries don't have, I don't know if you've seen the big hardcover ones where they have the little notches in there. Most of these don't have the little notches with the letters on there. So what I would recommend is putting little sticky notes. That's what I've done on this book. I have little sticky notes that you could write certain letters on, like A through F and G through J or whatever. That's a way to help you find your words quicker. We're going to start on page 111 in SMR. The first section, getting to know your dictionary, there's a little preview. So you're going to have to bring your dictionary to class tomorrow or the next class period, because we're going to preview your dictionary. Just like we previewed our book, we're going to preview your dictionary, but we'll do that in class. Finding an entry word quickly. The entry word is actually the word that you're looking for. So if you're looking up plethora is the word that you're looking up. That's called the entry word. And there are different ways, again, that you can help yourself find that word quicker. You're not going to start in the A's. You're going to start where? You're going to look in the P's. So if you have your little markers, you can quickly find about where the P's are, a little past the middle of the book. So that's why I said notches or sticky notes. Guide words. The guide words, if you look in your dictionary, they are the two words. Can you zoom in on me?
I'm zooming.
They are the two words at the top of the page. Sometimes there's one word here and one word here. It depends on your dictionary. So take a look at yours and see up here the guide words. They're darker, bolded, and they are useful because the word that you're looking up, your entry word, will fall alphabetically in between those two words. And we're going to practice lots and lots in class, but I want you to be familiar with these words that I'm talking about. Entry word is what you're looking up. These are called guide words at the top. So you're looking up a word, and a lot of times you're going to find lots and lots of definitions. There might even be more than one entry word listed. You might see little numbers and go, I have no idea which one to use. So we're going to work on that in this chapter. Parts of speech are going to be important. So even though you think, why do I need to know noun, verb, adverb, and adjective in reading? Normally we think about that for writing. It's going to be helpful with your comprehension as well. So when you look up a word, it will tell you in italics the part of speech it is. So we'll get into context a little bit later. Let me just first talk about, so you're looking up the word. If it's a noun, there are two different kinds. There's singular or plural nouns. Most nouns that you're going to look up are singular. Most nouns that you make plural, you're just going to add an S or an ES. For example, cat, if you're looking up the word cats in a dictionary, you're just going to look up the word cat, because you know that S just means it's more than one. There are two different kinds of plural words though. There are regular, which is just adding the S. There are called irregular plural nouns. So it's more than one noun, it's more than one of whatever noun you're talking about, but the spelling changes. For example, if you are looking up the word geese, that's plural for what? What animal? I could say there are a whole bunch of geese in my backyard, but one particular, you wouldn't say geese, you'd say one particular goose. So sometimes it's going to depend on the dictionary. You need to be able to, mouse and mice are the same. Sometimes you're going to have to look up mice, or you're going to have to look up mouse to get the definition for mice. I understand that you know what a mouse is and what mice are. Those are just examples. So you might have to look up the singular if you can't find the irregular plural noun. Verbs also can be regular or irregular. For example, a regular verb would be talk. If you're looking up the word talked, you would probably know you're just going to get rid of that ed. You're going to take off that ending and just look up talk. But an irregular verb, for example, drank. You might think, okay, but do I look up drink? Because the word drank is past tense for drink. I'm going to have a drink of water. Yesterday, I drank a lot of water. So again, it's going to depend on your dictionary. So I don't want you to get discouraged and say, it's not in my dictionary. You might have to think, okay, is this the regular, or is this the singular, or is this the root word of whatever you're looking up? You don't need to remember regular and irregular and plural and regular and irregular. That's not the point. The point is if you can't find the word that you're looking up, you may have to adjust the word and think about how it's used. Okay? Adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives describe nouns. I'm assuming you know that nouns are people, a person, place, or thing. Verbs are the action words. Adjectives are words that describe the noun. Adverbs describe a verb. Those are going to depend on the dictionary, and you're just going to have to maybe look up more than one word. And we'll practice this, but I want you to be aware. So you found the particular word that you're looking up. What is that called? Do you remember? It's called your entry word. You're going to use the guide words at the top. Think about a guide, a tour guide, kind of shows you where to go. Guide words tell you what words are on the page. That's a good way to remember it. So you've looked up your word and you've found it. There are some bullet points on page 118 and 119 that I'd like you to look at real quick. They're on the bottom of 118. They use the example of cart, that there are lots of definitions for the word cart. I want you to go through and read those. I'm not going to read them to you, but I would like you to be familiar with them. So if you need to, stop this tape right here, read through the bullet points, and then resume when you get done with that. So you found your correct definition, or you found your entry word. You're trying to figure out which definition to use. A lot of times, if you look up the word run, there are over 50 definitions for run, and you might go, I don't know which one to use. Close your eyes and point one. Can't do that. Instead, there are different clues that are going to help you. Megan talked about using context. Context are all the other words around the word that you're looking up. So a lot of the clues are going to come from using your brains and looking at the other words to try to formulate a general idea of what kind of word this is, and then you can look it up in the dictionary. So on 121, finding the correct definition, you've got words with multiple meanings. If you look on page 121, we're looking at the word run in the middle. I run every morning before work. Giorgio can run to the store for milk later. The salmon run starts next week. There's a whole list of them, and they all use the word run. So you have to think about how the word is used in the sentence to determine which definition is correct in the dictionary. On page 123, you've got grammar clues to help you. Remember when Megan had talked about those commas, the apostrophes? All of this has to do with being that detective in your reading. And so you really have to you have to take all the information that we're trying to give you and keep building on it, because there's not one lesson that's just going to be for that one lecture and one assignment. You've got to keep adding to your file cabinets. We talked about file cabinets. Grammar helps. For example, you have noun clues and you have verb clues. So if you think about the word run, if you have or the can or his. Some of these words in front of the word run, it's going to tell you it's a noun. So I have a run in my stockings. You're not going to catch me wearing pantyhose, but if I were, I'd probably have a run in them. That tells you it's going to be a noun because it's a thing. But I have to run to the store. Have to run. That's going to be a verb clue. So again, these are all just clues that are going to help you when you're looking up that word, trying to figure out which definition to use. You have to look at the words around it. The next section on page 126, finding idioms, phrasals, and compound words. Idioms I know that you've talked about quite a bit. Those are actually listed in the dictionary as well. A run for one's money. I don't know if you've heard that before. I'll give you a run for your money. So that just means I'm gonna try to beat you. That's actually going to be listed under run in that long list of definitions. They're usually in italics, and they will tell you what they mean. Phrasals. Phrasals would be words that are put together. For example, turn right here. The phrasal is right here. And again, it's going to depend on your dictionary. We're not going to do a whole lot with phrasals. Just be aware of what they mean. It's little groups of sentences, and a lot of times those are listed in the dictionary as well. Compound words that we've talked about, what are those three different kinds? Regular, spaced, unhyphenated. Those are listed in the dictionary as compound words. And that's on page 26. Homographs. Page 128. These are important, again, to look at your context clues, because without your context clues, you're going to have a very difficult time knowing about homographs. The way to remember a homograph is to think homo or homo means same, and graph means to write. So a homograph are words that are written the same. They can have different sounds. They can sound differently, or they can sound the same, but they have different meanings regardless. For example, in the book, we see your bow. We see your bow. They're written exactly the same. You could also read one of these as, we see your bow. You don't know. In these two sentences, you don't know if this is pronounced bow or bow. So instead, you've got to look at more context clues. So instead, if you hear the sentence on, where am I, 128? We saw your deep bow before the queen. We saw your bow and arrow. Just by using the context, it's clear that the queen, what are you going to do in front of the queen? You're going to bow. But if you're talking about arrows, you're going to have a bow and an arrow. So that's that context clue. And that's going to help you with homographs, is to look at your context clues. The secrets to success on 129. In your dictionary, homographs will be noted with a superscript, meaning a little tiny number at the top, beside the entry word. For example, light 1, light 2. Homographs are spelled with the same letters, but they are completely different because they have different origins. That is why their meanings are different. Then there's some examples of homographs in your book, and we'll be working with them more in class. The last section in this chapter we're actually not going to use. It's how to make a personal dictionary. If that's something that you're interested in, I encourage you to read it, but we actually are not going to cover it in class. So that's it for Chapter 6. I will see you next time.